You're listening to another episode of Hey Mumma. This episode is a how we, and it's a part of a series that we've been doing for season 3. The last one we did was how we
connect as a family and come together
so have more love and connect
in a loving way.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that because it's got some really great golden nuggets. I don't like to say that word nuggets, but
strategy. See
how you implement in with your family. So this one in particular is about how we self-care. And I wanted to start it by saying back when I had my first child and, it was a mum of one, to me, I was interested in and I loved fitness. And I thought that that was the only way to self-care. It was all about looking after your body in a movement way. And I ate pretty much whatever I wanted to eat and didn't think about it or wasn't quite conscious about it. And it's like an evolved thing that has happened over time where I have learned how what self-care really is. And it's not just a one particular thing.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I used to work out at the gym or do cardio or classes or dances and all that kind of thing. And I thought that was the way of self-care. And then I started to get into the nutrition side of things. And that was another way of self-care. And when I became a mother of 2 and continued on the self-care, what I thought was self-care of eating well and exercising, that was all that there was to self-care. And when I got really sick, we were both at a loss of a key thing that we were missing in terms of self-care. Now then I wanted to ask you, what was your idea of self-care? If somebody talked about that, say 10 years ago, what would be your definition of self-care?
Honestly, I would have laughed at it.
I was expecting you to say that.
I would have laughed at it
and
thought it was for women, not for men. For new age fitness, hoobie-doobies. And it's not something I seeked out, even thought I needed. And I definitely overvalued the work side of fitness and get the glory of hard work and the grind and that kind of attitude. So that was my view of self-care. I thought it was a bunch of hocus pocus.
So the hocus pocus in the way of the word self-care, you think? But at the same time, if somebody said to you, how do you self-care? Back then, you would have thought the same as me. I go to the gym, I work out, I live.
Yeah, I take care of myself. I think the word self-care has been branded. And it's got this brand. And I would have probably said, I take care of myself. I work out, I eat healthy. Look at me. I look healthy. So of course I take care of myself.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I thought the same thing. And also I wanted to point out that if a mum or anybody had said to me, you need to take some time out for you and some self-care, you automatically think of a massage, a facial, any of those.
Bath.
A bath. Yeah. So that's another thing as well. Like self-care can definitely be a bath for some people. I'm just not a bath person. And I know that even when Pete was trying to make sure that I was getting self-care, but also making sure that, he had his woman primed and thought whatever he was doing was romantic. The idea of romantic for him was a bath when I got home from work. And for the first, there was a couple of times after work, then you'd ran me these baths and I'm like, okay, that's really nice. And the thought is really nice. But I'm not a person that just lays in a bath.
You sat in the bath?
Yeah, I sat in the bath, for sure.
Just imagine that going through your head now.
And I've had bath, how do I
sit here? How long do I sit here before I
even exactly, it's that people please intended thing. It's how long do I sit here for? Do I actually open up the conversation and say, my idea of a relaxation or romanticism is not setting me a bath and with candles and stuff.
Yeah.
So And then fast forward with when I got chronic fatigue, and I got told that I needed to stop whatever I was doing at that point in time. Otherwise, I was going to go like over the edge, extremely sick, and I was going to be no good for anybody else. That was a massive wake-up call. And I don't even know the pinpoint of when I actually realized, oh, hey, my baby hasn't been sleeping. And so therefore I haven't been sleeping. So that is a missing key of self-care. I just wanted to make that correlation of when we think about self-care, we think about going out for a massage, you've done those things for me as well. You booked me in for a massage, you booked me in for a facial, but they're just one-time things or maybe once a month things, depending on your budget. But that isn't something that is an everyday self-care. Yeah, and that was a big wake-up call, I want to say, for both of us to think about how we are recovering and how we set ourselves up to be able to then do the other self-care, like eating well, like going to the gym and being active and having the energy and stuff with your family.
I think self-care can really easily be thought of as, shit, I've got to do like some kind of meditation, I've got to journal, I've got to drink 1 liter of water, I've got to do some breath work. I don't know, what are some other things that you see on Instagram and Reels of things to do? Like this, a big long list of self-care routines that ice baths and saunas now becoming all the rage. The thing with self-care is, and it's like with anything, if you don't identify your gap and what you actually need to care for yourself, like we're on that sphere of health, wealth, relationships, we're on that whole emotional and physiological side of things. Are you missing out on care? If you don't identify the gap, you can't prescribe yourself the right thing. And that's where perspective really, really helps, right? And that's what we had happen for you. Like we'll like give it a big shunt of perspective, a big throwdown of perspective by the doctor.
Like your idea of self-care is not working. Yeah, you actually are not self-caring. Then, like I was saying before, the bath isn't self-care for me, but self-care looks differently for everybody. And like you just said about the gap, is that you have to look at what is missing in your life for self-care. We've got we've implemented some beautiful habits nowadays with self-care. We have implemented some beautiful self-care techniques. And when you think about it, and I explain this to my mums that I coach as well, is with our children, we've been taught from day dot, get them into a good routine. At nighttime, it might be bath, reading books, then bed, sing songs, having music on, even right back from the dinner, then the bath, or the bath, then the dinner. It's whatever your routine is for them, keep it like that. And that's self-care, but it's self-care to another person and another. And I think as we get older, we forget about self-care for ourselves in that way. And we discovered that, hey, we read books to our kids, our girls. We sing them songs. We tickle their face or whatever it is. We cuddle them until they fall asleep. And we'd actually forgotten how to do that for ourselves. And it may not be reading a book as such, but it may be doing a piece of meditation if that is your thing. It may be journaling to get all your thoughts out for the day. It may be journaling what you're grateful for, so then you go to sleep with a grateful heart. It may be actually saying a prayer before you go to sleep that allows you to feel safe, and you go off to sleep and get a good night's rest.
Yeah, definitely. I think you nailed it with the daily routine thing, in the way that often we look at anything we want to do for ourselves as an indulgence or a luxury or something you've got to go out of your way for, or be rewarded by. Like it's your birthday, go and have a facial, rather than it's a regular nighttime routine of putting some moisturizer on, going to bed, reading a book, turning the lights down, and then going to bed at a decent time. Like I think what I just grabbed right there is going to do more for bags under your eyes than that facial ever could, that 6 monthly facial ever could. So there's power in the facial. There's power in having these big rocks that you look forward to in the year, where there is downtime, where there are events that you can wind down and then rejuvenate. But then there also has to be that layer of, this is a consistent beat that we...
What are you doing on the daily to provide that self-care for yourself? And so this is an episode of how we, and I want to actually talk about how we self-care from the girls going to bed and for us. Once the girls go to bed, what do we do?
So let's start with getting the kids off to bed at a decent time, because if that doesn't happen, then the rest of it's blown out of the water.
Absolutely. And then there's no real self-care then.
No.
So we'll take it right back to when we feed the kids earlier, get them to bed earlier at a decent time.
I think we've got to rewind all the way back to like when the kids get home from school, there's no TV during the week. And there's no TV during the week because you sit down for 20 minutes, so it turns into 45 minutes. And then it turns into like 15 minutes of convincing them to go and have a shower. And then by the time they go and have that shower, which is actually probably 30 minutes later, like everything gets knocked back. So that's a big one. Hey, screen time.
Definitely is a big self-care aspect to look at. Is taking it right back and not allowing, and I've had mums actually say to me, oh, you're good, oh, you're strict, mama. But it's through experience that we've decided what is best for them, but not only for them, but for the whole family.
Yeah, and I get it. Like at the end of the day, when you don't have energy because you're tired from the day and then they're at you, they want to just talk to you, and you just got to get some space from like getting them to watch some telly. It seems like the right thing to do because they're going to be occupied. You can get some rest and not react to them, and then you come back together. But what that does is just pushes everything down the line, and then your actual repair, which happens at sleep time, is impaired, and it's just this vicious cycle. So, I mean, for us, this is what we do.
And we're all about love and connection. And we brought up a really great point for last night. There was no TV for Lokes, and I was getting dinner on, and this dinner in particular was actually taking a little bit longer than what our normal, because it was Tuesday, it was our cook-up day. And so it was taking a little bit longer, and Lokes was sort of just bopping around thinking, what can I do? And she saw me in the kitchen, and then she's getting her stool and says, can I help? So but there are a lot of parents out there that think popping the kids in front of the TV while I get dinner on is a great idea or a great distraction for them, but you're missing out on a really great opportunity for them to be involved in the process of the cooking and the preparing of the dinner.
Which is connection time. It's growth.
And it's life skills.
Life skills.
So then next is obviously, they shower and we get them off to bed. When they're off to bed at a decent hour, we come out and we do a debrief in the shower. We actually thought one time that we would do a podcast called Shower Chat, because that is a real thing. And friends love to laugh about it. Was that in the shower? Was there conversation in the shower? Because we do. And even the girls know it. And Miri's even been guilty of, listening back in the old house where she could, while she was going up to sleep. She could hear us talking away in the shower. So we do that. And then we come out and we get the dessert ready. And that is a part of our self-care as well.
There's 3 things that we've implemented. Is like making sure our environment's set up for sleep. So that means like screens are out of the bedroom because it's a sleep room, not get on your screen room. It's a space for connection and romanticism.
Intimacy.
Sex. So a screen is going to just block all of that shit. So we make sure the environment's set up. We have the actions, which is like getting off the screens at a decent time. What times? I know what times, but 8. If the kids aren't in bed by 8, man, we know we're in for a bad sleep.
Oh, not a bad sleep, but it just throws out the rest of the night. Not necessarily a bad sleep. If it's more past like 8:30, 9 o'clock or something, then that's bad. Because we do like to have our own wind down time, and we do like to have our own connection time.
But for us, if we can get screen off by 9 o'clock and
we are winning.
Books out, starting to read by 9, then we're winning. We're going to have a really good sleep, wake up the next morning and jerk right.
Yeah, and you know if you're a little bit near 20 minutes either way, if you're 20 minutes further than that, like say we're reading at 20 past 9, but if we pushed it to like 20 minutes extra, which is at 9:40, and then we're reading, that's the danger zone. That's when,
definitely.
You're pushing it. So we have our dessert together.
Yep.
Our nutritious dessert that we absolutely look forward to every night. And I've even been verbalizing it lately, going, I wait for dessert. It's such a nice time. And we do watch a bit of telly. We watch a bit of a Netflix series or whatever we are watching at that time. And we enjoy that dessert. And then the next...
So desserts like protein bowl or ricotta, like ricotta cheese with some fruit in it, some flax meal, like really basic but freaking delicious. Like as good as ice cream.
But it doesn't make you feel like better.
Way better. So we're having that every night, which obviously helps us with our repair and our nutrition. So it's hitting all of these markers.
And it also makes you feel like it's something that we do together, and it's a ritual.
Yeah, we connect over it.
We connect over it for sure. So we do that.
To a point where if I eat it before you don't like it.
Yeah, like I'm going to get you a bowl scraping before I've even started because, I have a little bit more of a routine than you, and especially if I'm doing some sort of yoga sequence or something like that, and you've already finished eating your dessert. I'm like, well, it's not the same. It doesn't hit the same. So then after we finish watching our Netflix series, we're had our dessert, and then we will go and do the whole brush our teeth thing and get into bed and read some pages of a book.
Yeah.
And that is our routine. That's what we love. We personally love reading self-development books, like parent books, like at the moment you're reading Jay Shetty, The 8 Rules of the Lab.
As well.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm reading that right now.
Amazing. So that is our self-care routine on the daily. But like we've talked about, is that it goes right back. It is very planned. It is very premeditated, structured.
Yeah, and none of this sounds sexy, but I'm going to drop the sexiness now because we feel like we're kicking goals if we can have the self-care, the dessert, sex as well, all by a certain time. What I want to drop here though, and this is what's probably, I'm going to assume mostly women are watching this. So this is what's going to get hubby on board. Tell me, when you weren't using all of the stuff that we've talked about, the structure and the repair rituals, what was your libido like then compared to now that we implement it?
It was definitely a lot lower.
Yep.
Yeah. And there were a lot of times where I would say no more often than yes.
Tired,
run down.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, we could go on a story about when we first went overseas together without having to it depends on my libido now.
Yeah. The only reason I bring it up is because I'm in men's groups and they constantly complain about getting home after long days of work. They come home and their wife just rolls over in bed. And my common response or reply to that is there's stress that's holding her back from throwing herself at you. And your role as man is to make her feel safe and secure.
Yeah, and supported. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And so when applying this self-care, that can really then improve your intimate relationship as well as other things in life, but we're talking about intimacy right here. Therefore, when you have a good intimate relationship, you thrive as a couple.
Yeah.
And as a family.
Yeah.
When all of those are ticking your boxes, then there's not much to fight about.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm not sitting here perfect because I've got my own hang-ups, and one particular hang-up is finances. Anytime that I've come in and said, no, you can't do that with money, how's that felt on the whole sexometer?
No sex in
Not sexy at all.
Not sexy at all.
So as fitness professionals, we're constantly battling against mum wanting to do something about her health because she feels like shit, and then hubby not necessarily wanting to spend the money on that particular goal. But to me, on the other side of the fence, I can see the perspective of hubby. But if you want your wife to be totally connected with you and intimate and throwing herself at you, for me, anytime that something's come up due to down, like to de-stress, to down-regulate your nervous system because it was all fucking blocked and shit, I've been all for it.
Yeah, so you have, because you think, what benefits her benefits me.
Totally. So the Reiki, the
kinesiology, the breath work, the investment in coaching, like in terms of nutrition and exercise, and seeing what the missing link was. Yeah.
Like we dropped a lot of money on that. And I
dropped a lot of money on a lot of things.
And it's not about the money, it's about the value, right? And the value at the end of the day is, okay, I'm backing you up and showing you that you are my number one priority, because how you feel is going to directly affect me and directly affect the kids in the whole house, and vice versa. Like it's not just one way. The other side of the coin too, where dad needs to repair and have
de-stress,
which is why the connection is the ultimate. A mum can't be off doing a repair dessert while dad's eating chips in the other room.
But that's the disconnect. Yeah,
that's not going to last.
No, that's not sexy.
Someone's going to stop, and it's going to either be mum eating a dessert, which probably most likely, or dad over here actually comes in and goes, you know what, I'm going to get rid of the chips because I love you more than I love the chips. Yeah.
And I can see the benefit that it's going to have on our relationship and our family.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. I want to then now drop a little teaser about the next episode, where it'll be Peter and myself again. And this time I want to interview Pete about what it was like to live and be in love with somebody that had chronic fatigue, and as parents as well. I want to get his perspective and his experience from it, because I think that it's going to be really interesting and eye-opening and juicy.
Juicy.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.